Get to them. I'll fucking get to them. But that's not right now. This opening scene.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome. I am excited because we are continuing the Stranger Things reviews. We are doing our Road to Stranger Things 5, where we are discussing all of the seasons. And then once season 5 comes, we will review that season. We'll give you guys our predictions, our theories. It'll be a whole fun just series of Stranger Things stuff. So much so you're going to probably get sick of us talking Stranger Things, and then
but admit it. Once it's over, you're gonna miss it.
Exactly. Once it's over, you're gonna miss it. But it's gonna be just like we're gonna miss the show whenever it's done. But I'm really excited to discuss season 2 because I have very fond memories of season 2. I remember, I remember inviting my friends over, and it was around Halloween time. It was like a Halloween party of sorts that we were having. I dressed up as Sheriff Hopper for the party, and because I wanted to have, they dressed up as in their Halloween costumes, and I was like, I wanted to go, Stranger Things vibes. So I dressed up as Sheriff Hopper, and we watched all of the season together. We were like filming a skit video that day too, and this was a total blast that I just still remember to this day. And I will always remember that vibe. And some of those friends I don't talk to anymore, but like that's just something I reminisce on and everything, and because and such. But it's just so this has such a great memory for me, but also just to me it's a very underrated season because this is a season that gets so much flack, so much hate, but it's something that I think is underrated. We'll talk about it here soon, but good to have you here, Andrew. I know that you're not as high on this season as I am.
Honestly, my thought is I'm not as hot on episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. But episodes 5, 6, 8, and 9, the last half of the season, to me, it's like pedal to the metal is like, okay, this is what I want. Like, this felt to me like if they made season 2 a movie, if they made it a movie, it was just those 4 episodes combined, it would have been like, I would have been like, oh my god, another brilliant season,
They did up the production value this season. This season, the first season is still my favorite and will probably always be my favorite. But the first season feels very intimate and smaller. You do get some cool Demogorgon stuff in there, but it feels more intimate and smaller. This one, because of the mind flare and what they create there, it feels more grand in scale. And this was just the start. This is the start of their grand scale, and it would just continue to grow as the seasons went along.
I think it hit me as to why I don't like it as much. I think I just remembered why.
Why?
I feel like this feels kind of similar to season 1.
And in what way?
About it being like Will and his connection and all the Will stuff and everything. For when we get to season 3 and 4, they're very much different. They feel like, okay, this is very much different. Yeah. And I felt like that may be my issue. One of my issues, that this just feels a little bit too similar to season 1.
I could feel that. There's definitely some things carried over from season 1 into this, for sure. Certain relationships carried over. and such. We're definitely going to discuss all this as we did in the last one, guys. This is a spoiler breakdown, meaning we're going to take it episode by episode. We're going to break this thing down for you guys and really get down into the nitty gritty of it all. And also I'm going to preface this before going into it, because we already get some bangers in the first episode. So this ties into the first episode. This has my favorite soundtrack of all the seasons so far, because this has great stuff. We're going to get to the Cyndi Lauper track soon and like the Police track at the end, but this also has like, just in the first or second episode, it has that crack that whip, and all these other great songs in there that I just absolutely adore. So as an 80s kid at heart, I really love it. But
I feel you.
Oh yeah, but how the first episode starts. Before we get to that, we have Calder 1093. Calder 1093. Hope I pronounced that right. I've never seen you here before, I don't think. So, hello. If I have, I apologize for not recognizing you. But thank you for watching this stream tonight. It's going to be a blast as we just break down this entire season for you guys. But yeah, it's prepare for a good show. So, chapter 1 was called Mad Max, which is a nice, reference to the Mad Max movies. And the reason why it's called that is we get introduced to the new student, Max, who the kids learn to actually like, because you see them in this episode go to their arcade where they like to play. I forget what game it was called, but
yes,
where they like to play this this arcade game. And
you jumped ahead a little bit, Michael.
Oh, well, Max is introduced in this episode, though.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm sorry for just letting you know you did jump ahead a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. But this one is mostly them being upset, though, at the high scores that they're seeing on here. They don't know who's doing it. They don't know who it is, but then they assume it is Max, because when she's getting introduced, they're all like, "Oh, Mad Max" and all that stuff, and they're thinking that it's her. But
and I have from that scene, if you know the scene where he's stealing from Nancy, where Mike is stealing from Nancy.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I literally just have on my notes Jean Val Mike. In the Les Mis reference, and
did he steal a piece of bread?
And also when Joyce is dropping off Will, I have on here, some people think that Joyce is overparenting, but after last season, we understand why she's being the way that she is.
Oh yeah, no, and Joyce is super protective, and you'll see throughout the season. It starts a little bit in this episode, but you'll see throughout the season how Will, he's getting all this testing done on him, and he is upset because, and rightfully so. I mean, he's a kid. He wants to explore. He wants to have a life. He wants to do fun shit. But his parents, his mom, and his and Jonathan are very protective over him, and making sure he doesn't get to doesn't do stuff on his own, because they're worried after what happened last time, rightfully so as well.
And it also have on here, he is literally brought to, in my opinion, the most depressing looking hospital you could ever be brought to.
I know.
It looked like a prison. I'm like, no wonder he doesn't want to go there. Like, yeah. I've seen hospitals, and they don't look this scary. Like,
no.
And
this is why people are afraid to go to the doctor.
What?
This is why people are afraid to go to the doctor.
Exactly. And I have on here, because this is where we see Will having his first at the arcade, having his first like dream.
Yeah.
And it starts off very minor, and it just gets creepier and creepier and creepier as the season goes on.
It does, but it was so effective. And then so I guess we'll talk about it a little bit here. But they do I like that, Tom Baker. He says well, some hospitals are prisons. That's true. It depends on the hospital that you're in and everything. And then also we got another new face here. You'll definitely want to subscribe to the channel because we're going to be talking a bunch of Stranger Things with your name there, Mr. Team Stranger Things. He says Stranger Things heart. Absolutely, it's a heart. I love it. But yeah, I guess we'll talk about it now, and then we'll just talk about what we see in the first episode. But we're going to talk about the whole show, guys, and then we're going to go back and talk about episode 7. But they were introduced in this episode.
Pretty awesome car chase.
Yeah, the pretty awesome car chase. All of that stuff is pretty cool. And, you get these, basically the X-Men being introduced in this episode. And there's other people like Eleven out there, and they hinted at something interesting. They don't really go that far with it, but we'll get to that whenever we get to that. But that's something that was introduced here.
And then right after that is where we realize first season how it had very much of that Christmas aesthetic to it, of Joyce with the light, and then it ending around Christmas time and everything. This is very much a Halloween season. Very much a Halloween season.
No, yeah, I agree. There's even in this first episode, there's even a pumpkin patch involved. And Hopper
and the pumpkin patch plays a big factor to it. And speaking of the pumpkin patch and Hopper and everything, because Hopper gets called to investigate. This is when I realized something.
What?
I thought Murray showed up in season 3.
Yeah, no.
So when he showed up here, I'm like, wait, Murray? You're here now? Okay. And how he's coming in talking about the Russians. I'm like, the Russians? They don't happen for another season.
Yeah, and then he even talks about a girl with special abilities that he hears about, and then Hopper's like, what girl? And but you can see the concerned look on his face, like he knows what she's talking about and everything. So
and also fun fact, whenever they say Murray in the show, if you know what I always think of?
What?
The movie Joker. And you know what my problem with you, Murray? Joaquin Phoenix is Murray. Whenever they say Murray, I just hear Joaquin Phoenix's way of saying Murray.
Well, speaking of Murray, I don't know if you knew this, but there's a marketing ploy that Netflix does where there's these fake numbers you can call. And one of the fake numbers that you can call is Murray. And it's just a direct voicemail of him just being like, if this is Mom, I told you to call me between these hours and this hours. If this is Joyce, hi, how are you? And all this stuff. If it's anyone else but Joyce or my mom, what are you doing calling here? And all this stuff. And it's like his angry Murray.
And I love Murray. Murray has becoming on my list of favorite characters, which I'll get into him later on because he does one of my he says something later on that I find to be really, really smart.
For sure. But I do think Murray, whenever we get to the season 5 predictions, I think Murray could be on the hit list of possible names.
And then after that, they'll go to school. And then we get the introduction to the heart of the show, in my opinion. I am going a little bit over the top on that. My boy, Steve Harrington.
Steve, working at Chips Ahoy.
And we see Steve actually caring about school now, It could be college, like, he's worried about his future, and I'm like, this is already a character growth from the very first episode, where he's like, basically, Joyce wants to work, and he just wants to get in her pants.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, Steve is already growing a lot in this season. And I got confused. I've been watching season 3. I said Chips Ahoy. That's the next season. My bad. But yeah, no. In this season, he's still going to school, and he's you can see how much he really cares for Nancy, and you can see the regrets on his face and everything. And we'll get into what happens soon here with them, but
and Max, and this is where Max and her brother show up.
yeah, we didn't talk about Billy. Billy gets introduced in this episode as well, and he starts off also as someone who is you really hate this season.
I feel like unlike Steve, Billy seems more scary than Steve.
Yeah.
Steve felt like the jackass, where Billy felt like the oh shit, that guy could actually punch me. That guy could actually knock me out.
Like, yeah, there's Steve who would possibly punch you, but he usually loses a fight, and it's like he's just trying to do it to fit in, while Billy is the kind that's like, I don't need to fit in. I'm just gonna hurt you. And
yes.
It's like that's not that's not a good attitude.
And then after this, if we get Joyce at her work and we see another character who I legit love.
Bob. I love Bob. I got to meet Sean Astin at a convention, and he is so great.
I'm going to go more into Bob, but Bob seems like the guy in the first episode. He just seems like the guy that you always want to meet whenever you're having a bad day. He's just like that likable guy that's gonna just, maybe give you some words of wisdom, pick you up a little bit, and just make you feel happier, which we will talk more about Bob later on, because he could have been a lot worse than they could have written him a certain way, but they didn't. So I've got to give the Duffer Brothers credit. But we'll get to that.
I definitely got to give him credit, because he could have come across as very annoying after a while, and he never does, which, kudos to them.
Also, I feel like Bob, which I'll get into, he has more stuff to do than just, hey, I'm the love interest.
True. Yeah, no, he becomes, once he gets further into the season, he becomes a very valuable asset, because he is very smart. He's sweet, and he's kind of a dork, but he's very smart.
I have that in my notes later on. I do have that.
And speaking of Bob, this is something that kind of is similar name-wise to Bob. We have Barb and Nancy reeling from that still, and they are at a dinner with her parents, and her parents are basically, feeling super positive about stuff, saying, we know we'll find our Barb, and all that stuff, and they're blaming Hopper for everything, saying he didn't do his job right, and I'm just sitting there saying, why has no one told them? Why hasn't Hopper told the parents? Why hasn't Nancy told the parents? It's been a while. Why has no one told them, hey, we found Barb, and she died? You don't have to say, we found Barb.
I understand why Barb has not told them, only for one reason.
Why?
Because she is feeling guilt.
Yeah.
Like if she had said fine, we'll leave, Barb would still be alive.
Yeah. Yeah, she has to keep on. She has to keep on living with the fact that because of that, she wasn't able to save Barb or be there with Barb, and Steve's just kind of there as a moral support while she's going through all this stuff.
Yes, and then we go back to Will, and if we get a really good chat with him and Jonathan about the freaks,
I love that. And how he says, I love that comparison where he's like, would you rather want to be friends with David Bowie or with Kenny Rogers? And then Bob's like, I love Kenny Rogers. He walks in the middle of the conversation about that, and I'm like, you know what? I love Kenny Rogers too. I was bummed though with them talking about Kenny Rogers. I was hoping there'd be like a Kenny Rogers song popping up in here, but you know, it's all good. And speaking of the kids, we also get a very depressed Mike in this season or in this episode because, well, throughout the season, for the most of the season, but also in this episode because Mike keeps on thinking that Eleven might still be out there, but he's starting to lose hope because he is a young man in love.
Speaking of 11, at the end of this episode, we find out that Hopper has 11.
Yeah, and what a great way to reveal it, where, you know, he's knocking on the door, and then the door just like gets unlocked, and then he opens it, and you're like, wait, what? Who unlocked it? There's no one behind there, what? And then you see him looking at the Egos, he's like, hey, what did I say? And you're like, oh, yeah. And that's like, you know, a way to make people excited.
Which leads us to the start, because that was the ending of episode 1. And I do want to say about the whole there's one thing I forgot to say about the whole Will Hospital thing. What? The anniversary effect that they're saying it's the anniversary effect, yada yada yada. That makes so much fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. When you lose a parent, like, let's say your mom passed away, the anniversary of it is going to hit you hard.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so the anniversary effect
my
is an
mom,
analogy that actually is the first of 2 analogies in this show that actually make complete sense.
My mom is like, when she lost her sister one time a while ago, and her sister died at a very young age in her 30s, but her and my grandma, back when my grandma was alive, and now my grandma has passed away too, but back when my grandma was alive, they would both just like get together privately at like that evening in my grandma's room. She was living with us, and they would just like cry a lot because it was like on the anniversary of her sister's death and everything. They would just like remember her and all that stuff all those years later. And now my mom kind of does that, but with my grandma, where she's like, you know, she remembers the anniversary of her death and just kind of like has that kind of moment. And it's just really emotional when you lose someone, and it feels very honest and real, you know.
And I totally agree, but
yeah, episode 2 titled "Trick or Treat Freak."
I love the start of this episode. Love how we get to see what happened to 11. She sounds so heartbroken when she's running down the hallways, calling for Mike's name. But one thing did confuse me. She had in her vision the government was still looking for her, and I'm like, don't they think 11 is dead? Like, why would the government be looking for her if they thought that she was dead? And then we see her escape, and then she finds Mike's house. Then, not only that, this makes my heart break even more for Mike. Not only does he lose 11, but now he has all these officials at his house questioning him about losing 11. So imagine if you lost one of your best friends, and then a bunch of people came into your house and said, hey, we need you to tell us what happened. Like, fuck.
Yeah. That would be just crazy, just to have these guys just basically all of a sudden interrogating you out of the blue, and you don't have no reason as to why. And for a mom too, the mother was freaked out about it too. The mother is like, why are you in my house doing this? And then the dad's just there being like, oh, there's cops in our house.
I do not like Mike's dad. I do. He's the one character that I'm like, this is a fine guy. He can go. I either want him to go or something to be like happen to his character that makes like, oh shit, maybe he is a deeper character than we thought, kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah, like maybe.
Where they spend actual time learning about him and seeing his personality, and we and we can, like Roto, understand him more and like him.
Yeah, maybe that's when maybe season 5 we'll get some like backstory or something with him and the mom or something, just to make us more, hopefully.
Then
But yeah, so we get that, we get her going out, finding the little Eggo stuff that Hopper laid out for her and all that good stuff. And then we get to, this is the episode that is really great because we get to see the trick-or-treating, all the Halloween stuff. We get to see all the kids dressed up as the Ghostbusters, and they play I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost.
Yes, and when I see Joyce so anxious, I literally just have on here, I just want to give Joyce some anxiety medication. Like, I just want to give her something to make her feel a little bit better, because I just feel so bad for her.
I do too. Like,
and
I feel
also,
so bad for her. I feel so bad for Will too. Like, come on, like, man, Will goes through so much shit in this show. It's crazy.
And also, as they're getting ready to trick or treat, your favorite character gets a first sighting.
I know. God, Erica.
Erica's first sighting.
But she doesn't annoy me this season because she's not a main character. But she annoys me in season 3 because they make her a main character. But in here, she's just that annoying sister who's there every once in a while. But I like that you get to get introduced to Lucas's family in this, and you get introduced to Dustin's mom, which is pretty cool. Because in the last season, all we really got to meet was Will's mom and then Mike's parents, and that's all we really got to meet in terms of family there. But now we get to meet, you know, Dustin's parents and Lucas's parents, and that's really, I think that's really cool. So,
and I do have one question on here that it's a very personal question. Yeah. When they show up at the school and nobody else is in costume, what's worse? You showing up somewhere in costume and nobody else being in costume, or are you showing up as a character for Halloween and then seeing like 50, 60, 70 other people dressed up as the same character?
To me, that is worse, because in South Park did that very same thing where they had a Halloween episode where he dressed up as like something and then everyone else dressed up as the same thing, and he was like, I thought like or no, he dressed up as something, and then I thought you were going to match me, and his girlfriend was matched. She just decided to dress up as everyone else, and everyone else had the same costume. But I would hate that even more, because then it's just like, okay, I just feel like pointless. Like I don't even get to really stand out or anything. But if you're the only one dressed up, then you stand out. I actually did that once because I went to one of those like King's Dominion kind, like those amusement park things around Halloween time where they have their haunts and everything. And I thought, this was when I was very, very young, I thought you were supposed to dress up for those things. So I actually dressed up in my Halloween costume, and my dad dressed up and my sister dressed up, and we all dressed up and we went. And then it turns out no one else was dressed up except for the people in the show. But people were wanting to take photos of us with us and all that stuff because we were dressed up. So
yes,
you know, I always feel like that's a benefit.
And then I have on here something funny. When Joyce is talking to Hopper, and Hopper offers her a cigarette, I have on here, she needs weed. She does not need cigarettes. She needs weed.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, if I had $1 for every cigarette smoked in this show, I would be rich as fuck. I'm just saying.
Just from Hopper.
Just from Hopper alone. But then everything else is like, oh my god.
And then,
but you know, that was the one thing that was missing. I should have like gotten me, I don't smoke, but I should have gotten me like a pack of cigarettes when I dressed up as Hopper and just had a non-lit cigarette in my mouth. That would have just been added to the costume.
I would have found those like candy cigarettes.
Yeah, one of those kind of things. That would have been great.
And I also have one here, and I want your opinion on this. Who do you feel worse for, Joyce with her anxiety this season, or Nancy with the guilt that she is going through?
Honestly, I feel a little bit worse for Nancy, and the reason why is because with at least with Joyce, she not only has like Bob as moral support, Steve is sort of like he's moral support, but he's still young, so he doesn't really know
Yes.
what to say exactly.
And
Well,
in season one, and in season one, we do see a little bit more of that with Nancy. We see that like Steve now in this season, he's genuinely actually caring about the
yeah,
feelings, about how Nancy is feeling, and he's becoming a better boyfriend to her.
oh yeah, and I think she always finds a way to bounce. Joyce always finds a way to bounce back. She's always a problem solver. Nancy, she's younger. She holds on to kind of that stuff in her, and it's really emotional. And also, speaking of Bob, I love his little gag he makes here when they're about to go trick or treating, and he's dressed up as Dracula. He's like, "I hope it doesn't suck."
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes, yes,
That's
yes,
so good.
yes. I love that, and I think we also seen this episode 11 like learning like how to hunt with like Hopper and things like that.
Yeah,
And I literally have on here. It was at that moment that 11 realized she cannot hunt for Eggos.
yeah, that moment when she realized she'd actually have to go to the grocery store to pick up Egos if she wanted it. But it's I love seeing these flashbacks happen between those characters and then kind of
And
seeing
then
how they end up. But you also feel bad for 11 because Hopper is keeping her just basically trapped there in that house like a prison. And I understand both sides. I understand
yes,
his side of like wanting to protect her, wanting to be that protective parent, but he takes things a little too far.
yes, I have that exact thing on here.
And 11, I also can understand her point of view and how angry she is, but she also has to understand too that like he's lost a daughter, so like he has that kind of he doesn't want a chance losing.
But again,
So,
11 is an experiment.
yeah.
So she doesn't have so she may not have the capability of understanding, oh, he's lost a daughter. He knows
Yeah.
how it feels to do this. And also,
Mhm.
it wasn't until later on in the season does Hopper reveal to her about his daughter. So I'm like,
Yeah.
does she even know at this point that he has had a daughter that passed away? Like maybe if he admitted that to her, maybe she would have been a little bit more patient because she would have known what was going on.
Maybe. But yeah, I think it is, interesting to see their dynamics is seeing how much of a struggle it is to be a parent. Also, this is so interesting that this season dropped in 2017. And the reason why I say that is because that same year we had War for the Planet of the Apes, amazing movie, but that movie basically was like Caesar was almost like a father figure to this mute girl. And he had to take care of this mute girl. And then we had Logan come out the same year where Logan had to be a father figure to this girl, and he was kind of that grumpy, angry father. And I was sitting there just being like, is this just a trend going on? That's like all of a sudden in these movies and shows that we watch, is just that
Mm-hmm.
that
And
these people are just doing this. It's fun.
and if we do get a cliche in here,
Yeah.
If we're there's this moment where somebody says, "Hey, don't do this," and they do it. It's like I'm like,
Yeah.
that is literally just like so cliche.
I mean, I understand if it's a kid, but like, but if it's like an adult character, then yeah, it's like, oh, come on. I forget if it was a kid or an adult that happened with, but
And
yeah.
and do you remember this scene where Will's like, I want to go alone. I want to do this alone, and he's talking to Jonathan.
Yeah, and then Jonathan lets him go alone. And
I do have on here, Will, you remember that literally just last year you were taken, right?
Yeah. I mean, I understand Will's frustration because I think he even understands that, like, that he basically is never going to be the same way ever again. Like, he's never going to be able to be the same kid just playing in D&D with his friends. And that's why you see him as he goes along the season, just this very depressive, very destructive path. That's really hard to watch, but yeah, he has an incredible arc, incredible acting this season from him, from Noah Schnapp. He's so good this season. But I do want to talk more. Speaking of Will, I do want to talk about all the trick or treating stuff because we got to talk about them dressing up as Ghostbusters at the school. All that we didn't get to really talk much about the trick or treating stuff. I loved when Max scares them in the Michael Myers mask, and Lucas just screeches like a girl.
Yes,
and that was great. And then you see Dustin talk about how he loves nougat, and that comes into play later. And then they are going trick or treating, and then Will has another crazy vision happening, where he sees. Does he see the mind flare this episode? I think he does, right?
I think he does.
Yeah, I think it's the mind flare that he sees up in the sky while he's going trick or treating, and then he, after that vision, a bunch of kids bully him. And as a found footage fan, I thought it was kind of fun when they explore the tape of, they were recording the bullies attacking him, and that was really sad. But what did you think of the whole trick-or-treating vibe of this episode and all the trick-or-treating scenes? Because we also get the end where Hopper, he promised Eleven that he would come home early and eat some of the trick-or-treating candy, and he got so caught up in doing his job that he forgot all about that and literally bribes a kid to take his candy just so he can try to love him.
And I'll actually get to it in a little bit because I just thought about something. But the party, let's talk about the party quickly. Notice one thing when the roles are reversed. Like, Nancy is drinking away, and Steve is the one saying, take it easy, be careful, take it easy. I'm like, that was not Steve one season ago.
Yeah. The Steve last season wouldn't have cared as much, but this Steve, you see how much he cares about, and she's just like, she quotes him, I forget what she says. There's something that's like, well, isn't that what we're here for? Something like that. And then, there's the whole scene at the party where she spills the punch all over herself. Yes. And then she goes to the bathroom, and she's already so drunk. She says a bunch of crap to him, like talking about how much he's bullshit, how much their relationship is bullshit. And she plays drunk so well, by the way, because as someone who's been drunk before, I can say that is very accurate. So I thought she played that really well.
Yes. And then if we get the line from Jonathan, I'm going as a guy who hates this party.
I know. I love that. I will say this is the last time I think that I actually start to really care about Jonathan. I think it's season 3.
I cared about him in season 2.
Yeah, I still cared about him in season 2, but season 3 and 4 is when I kind of stopped caring about Jonathan.
Yep. I thought it was gonna be season 2 as well, but as I'm watching it, I'm like, I think it's season 3 that he all of a sudden starts to change, and about like what you were saying about Hopper and the bribing and Elle and everything. I think Elle looks so cute when she had the little teddy bear and she was snuggling it. I was like, oh, that is such a cute look for Elle.
It was. Oh man, it was
And
so cute. And then she had that like, didn't she have that like ghost costume that she wanted to go out trick or treating
yes,
and everything?
yes,
That was so
yes,
adorable
that was so cute.
when she wanted to
And
go trick or treating with that costume.
and and then you get another really sweet moment between Mike and Will in their conversation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
That that was a great one. The one where um the one where he's like uh getting upset at Mike, or the one where they're actually having like a personal.
when they're actually having that personal chat about like what's going on and everything.
Yeah.
It's clear that that they're all friends with Will, but Mike is definitely the anchor for Will.
Oh yeah,
Which
Mike. You can tell is like his best friend. Dustin and Lucas are still really good friends, but you can tell Mike is like his closest friend.
which
Yeah.
which in season 4, a lot of the theories about Will
Mhm.
and his sexuality and everything
Yeah.
make me watch the other episodes, and I'm like, not as crazy of a theory as you would think.
True. Yeah.
I'm watching it, I'm like, I'm seeing a connection. And then we literally, then after, towards the end, we see Elle do the TV trick.
I know. Yeah, that was kind of cool to see Al just completely the way she utilizes her abilities in this episode and this season I thought was really cool.
And then the episode literally ends with Dustin opening the trash.
Yes, yes. That episode ends with that, and then we don't know what's in there, but he just says, "Holy shit!" And then it goes to playing the Ghostbusters theme, and
And then we get episode
great
3.
way to utilize the Ghostbusters theme song. But yeah, then we get to chapter 3, which is the Pollywalk.
And I love when he comes home, the cat, like, we see the cat does not fuck with this creature. Like the cat's like kissing at it, and he's trying to hide it.
Exactly. Yeah, the cat's
But it
hissing
does
at it,
look
and
cute.
eventually the cat tries to fuck with the creature and can't fuck with it. We'll get to that
But
eventually, unfortunately.
but it was so cute. But it does look so cute. And then I was watching the show. I do not know why it took me so long to realize this, but I was reminded that Sean Levy is a big person behind this show, which doesn't shock me because I'm a big fan of Sean Levy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't shock me that he is responsible for this show.
This is one of your favorite shows, and he's responsible for this, and he's responsible for several of your favorite movies. So there you go.
Yeah, he's got a style that I really like. I've got to give him credit now.
Yeah, and yeah, he's been a big part of it now for quite some time, and yeah, in this episode you also get, you know, Eleven getting a little bit more impatient. And I will say that while I love seeing these flashbacks with him, and you get more flashbacks here of him with 11,
Yes,
and then she starts to sneak out this episode. She breaks out and she starts walking into the forest and everything, and it's
Topper, when he was explaining the rules, I'm like, this is COVID. Like, don't leave the house, don't do this, don't do that, and
basically
something. This episode, I realized something.
what?
Why doesn't Hopper bring Mike there?
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Like, he could just be like, be like, you can't leave, but the least I can do is the people that know you and care about you, I can bring him. And he lives in the woods.
Maybe he was worried that like if he did that, then Mike would either sway her or that maybe Mike would just go blabbing to everyone that Eleven was still alive.
He should have made that more clear.
Yeah.
And as we've seen in the show, Mike is a good secret keeper. So
Yeah.
So he would not have blabbed, especially because he knows how much he loves Eleven, and he knows that if the government knew that she'd be actually gone forever. So he would definitely not blab. So I'm like, they should either have made that more clear, or at least had him try to have Mike come over. And he's in the middle of the woods, so it's not like oh hey, he lives in an area that has like a lot of like places next door, or things like that. So he lives in a very much like an off the grid place. So he could easily sneak Mike or Dustin or Lucas over to his place.
Yeah, no, he very much could have. But yeah, he didn't, and it's kind of feels a little off. I mean, I understand it's a lot for him, but yeah, it's still really odd. And then we also get to be introduced to the like baby D'Artagnan in this episode, where we actually get to see what was inside the trash can, and it was basically a little baby Demogorgon, but he doesn't know that. It's at the time it's basically just a little slug, and it's really cute. I love D'Artagnan. I think it's adorable whenever it's a slug, basically. A very cute slug, and he puts it in his little Ghostbusters ghost trap, which, by the way, kudos to them. Great ghost trap that they were able to make there.
Mm-hmm. And then if we get to see where they're going to school, and Bob brings Will to school. Another scene, I literally love Bob's chat with Will.
I do too.
And something I noticed is, do you remember the impression that Bob did?
Oh yeah,
that sounded like Pennywise.
It did a little bit. Yeah, he did sound a little bit like Pennywise, but his Baldo guy that would hunt him down. He was like talked about Baldo was this really terrifying,
And then I have when they get to the school, what the fuck is this teacher talking about? Like I literally remember this scene, and the teacher's like, now this person has a crowbar through their head, and I'm like, a little bit violent.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, no, that to me is it's just a little bit violent. But I absolutely love their talking in the car. I love that scene, and then we'll wait to talk about towards the end the crazy cliffhanger at the end, of this episode. But I do want to bounce over to Will and Nancy, because this is the episode where they basically officially break up, because Steve talks about everything she said when she was drunk, which Steve, honestly, he is mature enough of an age to know that she was drunk. Like, he should have known that she was drunk when she said all that stuff.
But in Steve's defense, when people are drunk sometimes,
yeah,
their boundaries come down. So maybe this could be something that she has felt.
Yeah.
But and he's like, whoa, maybe she's been acting all of this time. So
I could,
So
I can see that. Some people are very much truth seekers, like my truth tellers when they are drunk. Like my friend, his girlfriend, basically when she's drunk, she just blurts out the truth like it's nothing, and it's like, oh, okay. So sometimes that can happen as well, but it was sad to see because especially after he asked her like, "What do you love me?" Like she was like, "I'm drunk." He's like, "What do you love me?" And then she's not able to respond back. Makes you think that
yes,
there was a little bit of
and
truth to what she said. Yeah.
and also when they go back to 11 and Hopper, and they're getting the place ready and everything.
Yeah.
I love it when Hopper starts playing the music and you're expecting this like rock and roll, like Leonard Skinner, things like that to start playing. And then it's just like really soothing, calm, like
It's one of the goats, man. Jim Croce. I love Jim Croce. He is
and and
one of the best.
it's just so relaxing. It's like I was
Yeah.
not expecting this song to come on.
And then they reuse that same singer. We'll talk about it in season 3, but they reuse that same singer in season 3 when they play the in this one they play bad Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole damn town. And then but then this one in season 3 they play the and you don't mess around with Jim. Yeah, stuff, which is great. So they continue the Jim Croce train there.
Yes. Then if we get the scene where Bob is talking to Joyce about the chat, and then as I'm watching it, it could be because I know how the show's gonna end, but I'm listening to like a lot of what Bob is saying,
Yeah.
and I'm like, carve out the gravestone.
No. He's
Like start carving it out, like
basically, yeah.
like it feels like those cop movies where the guy's like, "Hey, I am 2 weeks from retirement," where we're like, "Ooh, he's not gonna last long."
Yeah. No, it's one of those that's just where you can tell that it's that there's something coming to him, and once we get to that, it's really emotional, really sad that happens, but we can't. We unfortunately can't control that.
In
But
in this episode, we also see Joyce finally putting 2 and 2 together about Will's dreams.
yeah.
Like give Joyce credit; she is not an idiot.
Oh no, definitely, and it's great that she is dating someone who's also not an idiot. So her and Bob are both, really smart. So they make a great pair, which is really great. And then also we get more visions from Will in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And first, but before we get to that, I do want to talk about, because I talked about D'Artagnan and all that, but I want to talk about how Max is kind of joining the crew this time. You get to see her joining in with the gang a little bit, and they don't know how to feel about having a girl in the gang. They're like, oh, we can't have Max in there. She's Mad Max and all that.
Which does bother me a little bit because Mike is one of the biggest people against Max.
Yeah.
I'm like, I understand how you feel, but you remember you literally last season were open to having a female join.
Yeah, I understand his reasoning. It's because he doesn't want to have any other female except for 11 in that group. 11 is the only female he wants there, and it's part of his like pain, as part of his grieving process or whatever. But Lucas is like the one that's vouching for her, which is interesting, which I actually like, because Lucas is vouching for her this season, and then Lucas totally against 11 last season. So it's kind of like a switcheroo where Mike was defending 11 to be a part of the group in season 1, and Lucas was like, she's a traitor. You can't have her be a part of the group. And then in this season, Lucas is defending her, saying, let's let her tag along with us. Let's let her do all this. And then Mike is the one that doesn't want anything to do with her. And I kind of like that switcheroo there.
And then I love one thing when 11 shows up at the school on her little journey.
Oh yeah.
She picked the most perfectly timed time to go.
God.
Nobody is walking around. Nobody is there. Like,
it's like, which is also kind of hard to believe a little bit. It's like, really, no one's at the school? That's a pretty big school. It's like a little hard to believe.
And then we get probably my least favorite cliche.
Oh yeah, where she's seeing Max on her skateboard and then just knocks her down.
No.
What?
Where 11 sees Mike, and Max having that conversation, and then he immediately goes, "Oh my God, he forgot about me," and leaves without any context, without seeing enough to really understand what is going on.
It's sort of like, oh, so he can't have other friends who are girls as well. It's kind of feels a little controlling there on 11's part. Is this the episode where she bumps into her mom, or is that the next one?
Where she
finds her mom.
I think that's like 5.
Okay, because I remember she goes
because this one ends with our beginning to call, hey, that Russian girl, and that family with the kid, reported that there's this little Russian girl walking around
because she goes over to the kid on the swings and makes it, and then she sees the swing wrap around the pole. Yeah.
And also, Nancy does make a dumb decision in this episode.
Oh,
she's finally going to tell Barb's parents about everything.
Yeah.
But she says, I can't tell you on the phone because, what if people are listening? But she tells them where to meet?
Yeah, that was kind of stupid because it's like, okay, so you can't talk about someone who died that the government's not going to care about anymore. But then you say, oh, but let's meet here. The government's going to care about that more because they can track you down and just find you. It's like, okay. So
then in episode 4, and then sorry.
No. I was done. Yeah.
And then we get to episode 4.
Oh yeah. Well, first off, before we get to episode 4, let's talk about the crazy cliffhanger of this episode. So Will sees that, vision of this mind flare, and he runs away, and then he's out in the field on like the playground or whatever, or near it, and he's just like remembering the conversation that Bob and him had, and he's about him saying he didn't run away. He said, go away, and then so he's like trying that on the mind flare, and you're just sitting there like saying to yourself like, oh God, this is not going to work. This is not going to work, and it doesn't work, and it's a insane cliffhanger because he starts to get like the cloud monster all in his nose, all in his mouth.
Everything. Yes, and they're trying to wake up Will, and then as the reference to the meme, I legit woke up. Will, wake up! I don't like this. Will, wake up!
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent of the Chrissy moment from season 4.
And I do feel so bad for Max in this episode because she's seeing all of this stuff and she's probably so confused.
Yeah, she's there just wondering like, what the hell? And then also, I think at the same time, they're trying to also look for D'Artagnan because that he runs off, but you find out that that Dustin just is hiding D'Artagnan, and so just trying to keep him safe.
Yes,
And
and we also get the fight between Hopper and 11.
Yeah, and man, that was an intense thing to watch. To see
Yes.
them start to yell. She completely slams the door shut. She throws shit everywhere, and the windows break, and then he basically grounds her, and then she is being separate, which I understand he's taken things a bit too far, but at the same time, she's like, I'm just like, and I get she's a kid, but at the same time, I'm just like, 11, control yourself, calm yourself. You don't understand the situation. He's, you don't want to get yourself in even bigger trouble. But she keeps on persisting, and then she gets herself in bigger trouble and loses all TV privileges, which is, terrible.
But again, we don't know 11's understanding of this stuff.
Yeah.
So because again, she's an science experiment.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
again, she could not know what to do.
Yeah.
Like any human would know, calm yourself, do what you can to do this, where she can't.
Yeah. She just doesn't really she doesn't really know like social cues, how to handle kind of stressful situations well, at least not yet. But that's just part of her growth. You see her grow a lot in this season, from her really not being able to talk a whole lot to being the way she is in this season. And then also we get Will in this season, who likes it cold, baby. Because, they wake him up, they bring him home, she's trying to give him a bath, and he is totally against having a hot bath because the mind flare likes it cold. And she thinks that's kind of odd. And I think Joyce's reaction was a little bit too calm. I think she should have realized, okay, there is straight up something wrong with my boy. And you get, him drawing all this stuff of the mind flare, just all this creepy imagery. And this season, and then this episode, I think we get where she watches the tape of the bullies bullying Will, and then she pauses the tape and then sees the reflection of the mind flare, the design of it on the actual tape, and then is able to compare it to Will's drawings. And that's kind of a really interesting parallel.
Then if we get the Jonathan and Nancy at the park, kind of, who knew the park could be so fucking creepy with the government, just hunting you down.
Yeah, that was pretty great. And this is where Nancy eventually starts to become pretty smart, because she makes some of these decisions whenever the government starts to track them down, that she eventually, I think it's the next episode that she does it though, but she like records their conversations that they have. And
I think that's either the end of this one, or the next one.
Yeah, but she does that, and that was a really smart decision from Nancy's part.
Pretty sure that is. I think that is episode 4. I think we just haven't gotten to that part yet. I think episode 5 is where they go see Murray.
Yeah, episode 5 is where they go see Murray. Around the end of this episode is when they kidnap them. She records their conversation to reveal that they're hiding something, and
they're talking about the Soviets, and I'm like, again, I thought that was in season 3.
I know, but we get more Soviet stuff in season 3 and more Russian stuff in season 3 as well.
And then something doesn't make sense. Like, the scientists are admitting that they made some mistakes. I'm like, scientists admitting that they made mistakes? Now we know this is a fantasy.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do feel bad for Max in this episode because we're seeing, even though that she's seeing all this shit, they're still keeping her out of meetings, and everything.
Yeah, I do feel bad for her, especially because of all the abuse she has to deal with from her brother. You see
Yes.
how all she's doing is basically hanging out with Max or with Lucas, and then her brother is totally against that and is really upset at Max. Did you get the same vibes I did watching uh, these past couple episodes where he doesn't like Lucas simply because of Lucas's skin color? Did you get like a racist vibe going on? Because this is the 80s.
I can see that vibe. I
Yeah,
can see that of what I would have liked to have seen is her hanging out with Will or something,
yeah,
and see the brother being like, huh, okay, kind of a thing. Just like, wait a minute, why is one not the other?
yeah. That would have definitely confirmed that it was like a racist thing for sure, and such. And I think that would have been a
Yes.
interesting route to take with that
Yes.
character.
Something else doesn't make sense to me. Max goes sees Will, and Joyce says he's fine, he's doing okay. I'm like, you don't need to hide this stuff from him.
Yeah,
Mike knows what's going on.
yeah. Mike, no one at this point, none of the original gang should be hiding anything from each other because they have all seen the crazy shit. They know what is going down, and none of them should be hiding anything. And she even, I mean, I understand why she tries to hide some stuff from Bob eventually, but like the rest of the gang, it's like, yeah, that makes no sense. But moving on to, do you want to move on to episode 6?
Just
Or
one thing.
Or episode 5?
Just one thing. We see the cat named Mew Mew, and then we see the creepy image of, as I call, the Demogorgon Chia Pet.
Yeah. Oh, and also this is the episode right here where you see the map that Will is creating, and it's a bunch of vines, it looks like, and Hopper knows that, and he's just like, oh, vines. And I love Hopper. He's maybe my favorite character on this show. However, man, is this dude so hot-headed, because he decides to do a stupid decision of going into this tunnel thing by himself. He has no backup. Like whenever him and Joyce went to the Upside Down in the first season, he was with Joyce. There was 2 people there. I'm like, bro, you're going in here by yourself. You're not even bringing Joyce. You don't have any backup at all. I thought that was like a really dumb decision on Hopper's part. But he decides to go down there, try to explore some whatever's down there, and he sees basically the Upside Down underneath where all the pumpkins are at, and then that kind of answers why the pumpkins are rotting. And then we get the end of this episode, which again, another crazy cliffhanger where Hopper gets stuck in these vines and they basically start to swallow him up.
And I think he's in the is he in the Upside Down at that part?
Basically, yeah, he's in the Upside Down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that like the Upside Down is basically accessible just underground. Like you can just dig a tunnel and then go into the Upside Down, basically. So some pretty interesting stuff there, and that's how that episode ends. Then the next episode, we get Bob involved in the journey because Bob is knocking on her door. She's trying to hide the truth from him, but then eventually decides she needs his help. So they kind of so they kind of band together, and he figures out, this map, and figures out everything that like the science behind it, since he's this tech guy, since he's this smart, sophisticated type of sciencey type of guy, and he starts to become part of this journey. He doesn't believe in the whole aliens and all that stuff yet, but they go inside this tunnel looking for Hopper, and he's like, "Oh, this is Will's map. Are we in Will's map?" And I thought that was
got to admit, he starts showing like he knows shit, like he's helping.
Oh yeah.
And then, and we also see Lucas getting close to Max and him telling Max the story. I remember this because of the scene with Erica and Dustin with the code red.
Yeah.
And we also get to see the
Yeah.
sexual tension between I believe it's
Nancy and Jonathan.
Nancy and Jonathan, and if we get, in my opinion, one of the best analogies that I've ever heard.
Oh yeah, where Murray is like telling them that, I forget what he says to them, but yeah,
something like he's showing like vodka or something, and he's like, oh, this is strong, like impalatable, but if you put it in water and you surround it with water, all of a sudden the taste is still there, but it's not as strong. So if you need to make this story palatable to the people.
Yeah, I think that was really interesting, really great. I think that, when they meet Murray, I think that's a really great kind of introduction.
And this is the one where Eleven goes to see her mother.
This is the one, yeah. And that's a super emotional episode, or a super emotional part of the episode. That she gets to see her mother, and that her mother is, you see a little bit of what happens through like flashes of her mother being basically abused and having her daughter taken away from her, and then she was basically made into what she is when Eleven sees her, and that's just really tragic. And she has a good heart-to-heart talk with the other girl,
and then
this episode you also get Dustin gearing up in his armor, because D'Artagnan, turns out he's growing up and
yes,
getting bigger, and he ate the cat, and that was really sad. So he's like trying to trap D'Artagnan, and at one point he opens up one of those like cellar doors, and D'Artagnan closes it. He's like, "I'm sorry, you ate my cat."
Yes, I love that part. And in this episode, if we get the moment that I feel that I've been waiting this whole series for so far.
The Dustin meeting Steve.
And that is the Dustin and Steve duo becoming a thing. Like this is the moment I'm like, they become such good like best friends, and I'm like, I cannot wait to see how this starts.
Yeah, I like their relationship is so great, and then they have a very Stand By Me moment, because they're walking on the train tracks, and
yes,
and then he's trying to give him advice on the girl, and how, because Dustin kind of has a little bit of a crush on Max, and he's trying to give her advice, and I thought that was really precious, that moment between the two of them.
And also I forgot to say something when we're talking about, I have this in my notes. If we're talking about Murray and all of them, I just love how Murray knows there's something going on between Jonathan and Nancy.
Yeah, he knows.
And that line told Jonathan how to pull out.
And I think that it was really great, the scene where they kiss and they actually have that tender moment together.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really sweet. This is also an episode where I think they're trying to figure out what to do with on the side too, like what they're trying to is that or no, that's the next episode where they're trying to figure out what to do with Will. But this episode is mostly just them getting to that point. You're about to get to that, but yeah, a lot does happen, but you get to see one of the scientists briefly in this episode that you see more in episode 7, who basically was one of the perpetrators of what happened to Lovin's mom. And
the train track thing happened in episode 6, by the way. I'm sorry.
Oh, episode 6. Oh, okay, cool. So, I mean, we can move on to episode 6 unless you have extra thoughts. You want to?
No, I do not. Except for one thing, Joyce does the one dumb thing in this episode that I thought that she would have learned does not help by now.
What's that?
When she's going into the underground, upside down, and she's yelling, "Hopper, Hopper!" I'm like, yeah, that we saw how that works with Will.
That is really dumb, but she does find. I thought it was smart. The one, even though I thought it was stupid that Hopper went down there by himself, I thought the one smart decision that he made was to put a cigarette down there where on the ground in the tunnel. That way, if Joyce or someone, Joyce would go look for him. So then that way, if someone has to go look for him, they would know where to find him. And she's able to track down his cigarette and then find him and cut the vines off and all of that. And Bob's sitting there like being like, "Bro, why are you in these vines, man? What's going on?" But then we move on to chapter 6, which is The Spy. And this one, things are starting to get even crazier because Will's connection grows stronger, and no one's quite sure how to stop it. And they take him to like one of those hospitals, and they're trying to figure out what to do with him.
Joyce is the big crash out.
Yeah, she has a big crash out. Is this the episode where she's just like, "What is wrong with my boy?" Is that the episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
Calling them out for all the stuff they haven't done.
Yeah, I thought that was such a motherly thing to do.
Yes. But before that happens is the scene where Steve and Dustin go into the cellar.
Oh, yes.
And it gives Five Nights at Freddy's vibe to me. Like
it does.
Steve with the flashlight looking for the big Demogorgon.
And there's a lot of great Steve Harrington moments in this because, like I mentioned, with the train tracks is great, but then eventually the whole gang joins Steve and Dustin, and they're all gonna try to trap this thing, but then they find out there is much more than just one. It's not just a D'Artagnan. There is many more of these Demogorgons all around them.
Dogs.
And he did you say hot dogs?
Demodogs.
Oh, Demodogs. I thought you said hot dogs. But he has his baseball bat with the nails in it, and he's trying to fight him off. Which, by the way, I just gotta say, why is there no Stranger Things video game? I would love a Stranger Things video game where it's like a multiplayer game where you could play as the Demogorgon or you could play as the characters, and you could play as like Steve Harrington, and you could have him have a weapon of like a baseball bat with nails in it, and everything. Like that would be so fun. I don't know why that has not been made yet. But that aside, I thought it was kind of brave of him to try to stand up against this thing. But then you find out that there's too many, so he goes on the bus with them, trying to hide from this stuff, and yeah, and then eventually they all just run away because they get distracted by something else. And what is that something? We will find out. But Eleven uses her powers in front of in front of the woman who's caretaking his
yes.
Mom, just kind of see what happened during that time. I thought that was kind of interesting to have her go back to what it was that caused her to be that way. Really emotional. We get some great character dynamics between all the kids, between all the doctors here, and if I remember correctly, I think this is the episode too where they're like contemplating on what to do with Will. They're thinking maybe they'll have to kill him, something like that. That his brain it's like eating his brain basically and taking over his entire.
Yes.
But.
And. Yes, and then at the end of this episode, we see the creatures starting to come out.
Yeah, that's a crazy cliffhanger at the end of this episode where the creatures break out and into the lab, and and Paul Reiser, who's great by the way in this season. If you aren't familiar with Paul Reiser, he's the kind of egotistical villain in Aliens, but he was great in this season, and he's all like, the glass is impenetrable. It won't, they can't get through here. Well, we'll find out that it's not so impenetrable. So
no, I have that line on here. No, this is where we jump.
Yeah, so that is why episode 7 is so stupid, because it was so poorly placed. It would be like trying to put, for example, because Breaking Bad has a filler episode, which is The Fly, that like some people either love it or some people either hate it.
Yes.
But the difference is The Fly came after an episode that was just a casual episode of Breaking Bad. It wasn't like a massive, oh my God, moment of Breaking Bad, and then you got The Fly. It was just a casual episode of Breaking Bad, and then you got that episode. And I was like, okay, then that makes it more fine. Imagine if it was like the episode where like Hank finds out that Walter White is doing everything he's doing, and this is like, and that's like the crazy cliffhanger and then all of a sudden it goes to the Fly episode. It wasn't like that, but here it basically was. They had a massive cliffhanger,
so
decided to jump into a whole nother storyline.
So that's why I said, so suggested Michael, I said, why don't we do 6, jump to 8 and 9, and then if we go back and talk for a few minutes about episode 7 at the end, since basically that's what we did.
Yeah, and basically, yeah, we basically did that, and there's not really going to be a lot to talk about on episode 7, so it can be like a quick wrap up.
Yes.
And such, because I don't have a whole lot to say about that episode, but but we can go to episode 8, which was the Mind Flayer, and I'm regretting talking about this episode because you know what happens in this episode, which is unfortunate.
Yes.
Where Bob bites the dust. Bob gets killed this episode.
And there were a few signs I knew when Bob was in trouble. When he was on the computer, and we see the shot of the gun, and we see him leaving. and we see the gun get left behind. I'm like, okay, they would not have showed the shot of that gun if he was going to live.
Like, if you watch any slasher movie, the people who get killed in slasher movies are the people who have a weapon in their hand and they like whack the killer once or something and they decide to drop the weapon. And then they zoom in on the weapon dropped and you're like, oh, yeah, that about to die by the killer. And then they inevitably do. So.
And it was such a suspenseful scene where Bob's hiding in the Demogorgon's head in the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
And the mop exposed Bob. Let's just call that out right now.
She did. And,
you know,
but I will say too that Bob kind of suffered, like he kind of was a dumbass in his final moments. I love Bob. I love him. But he was kind of a dumbass in his final moments because I'm sorry. You decide after a giant alien is chasing you, what you decide to do is to stand there and smile at Joyce and be like that. I'm like, bruh, an alien is after you. It doesn't matter if the door is shut. This is an extraterrestrial thing. You don't know how strong it is. Run to Joyce. Just run as fast as you can. Run to Joyce. Run out the door. And then once you're out the door and you're in the car, you're in the vehicle, you're driving away, then you smile and you look at Joyce and you're all like happy and everything, you know? That's when you do that. But I felt so bad for him because, you know, he's hiding in the closet. He's trying to listen to everything Paul Reiser's telling him to do. And you see the mop drop and fall. And you're just like, oh, God. As soon as the mop falls down, you know what's about to happen. And
yes.
And it's just so tragic. But, man, Samwise Gamgee can run, man.
And there was such a meme moment that happened later on.
What?
When everybody escapes and they go back to Joyce's place, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And he's on the phone and he's like, the number is 67. And I'm like, my God. 6-7. Can we just be done with this 6-7 thing?
Wait, the 6-7 thing? What's the 6-7 thing?
Oh my God, there is this viral meme right now with kids just doing 6-7, 6-7.
Wow. But
and
that was
like the hand like 6-7 whenever.
What's funny is this was probably before that viral meme even happened.
Oh yes. This is new.
Yeah.
This is like this year kind of a thing. So when I'm watching anything now and they say 6-7, I'm like,
I know, it's just, oh God.
It's just cringeworthy to me now because I'm like, now I know they didn't intentionally do that, but my God.
Yeah. It's just like every time that we hear just dance and anything, it's like,
yes,
we can't stand we can't stand that and such because
yes.
it's just, yeah.
And then if we get to another cliche I don't like, where he's on the phone, they don't recognize his voice. I'm like, don't you think you would recognize the chief of police's voice?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's the chief of police.
It's like,
not be like, hi, I'm Hopper. Like,
it's like, how would y'all? Okay, that kind of makes no sense to me, but all right. And then we also get,
the name
Steve,
drop of
we get Steve and that gang meeting them back up at the house too, and everything, and so everyone's in there, and then we get the really cool reveal, and I love how like everyone has their weapons out, but like you have Lucas with his slingshot. He's ready to fire that slingshot.
Yes.
And I just love that because the slingshot is just going to do jackass to
and
like that.
And we also get that very emotional scene with Joyce, Will, Jonathan, and Mike.
Oh yeah.
They're trying to get the information, and then he starts using the that code
Yeah, the
to
Morse code.
send the information. I'm like, but still confused me. I'm like, couldn't the Mind Flayer like read his mind and know what he was saying in Morse code?
Yeah, you would think, because if it's like the Mind Flayer and it can like control your mind or whatever, you would think that it could have that capability, but
And so, but give Will credit. It is a smart plan on his part. On his part, it is a smart plan.
it is. And the way this episode ends, it ends in that really tender and beautiful, but also badass moment of 11 opens the door, and there she is. It's everyone now knows she's alive.
I feel like episode 7 spoiled that moment.
Episode 8,
episode 7 spoiled it.
Episode 7 spoiled that moment. If episode 7 would have come out at what? Okay, that's what they should have done. What they should have done is they should have gone into episode. They should have gone into episode 7 or episode 6. Excuse me. Then this episode 7, and then after you see 11 go in there, and everyone sees it. That's how the episode basically ends. Then you see how 11 got to that point, and then you go backwards. That's how they should have done it, I think.
It still would have felt a little bit like if we want to see what's actually going on, but it would have made more sense.
It would have made more sense, and it would have made us as angry, because where it was placed, we were angry because it was like the actual creatures were rising out.
Yes,
they were about to attack everyone, and then we were just angry that they gave us that cliffhanger. Here, it would be disappointing, but I feel like we wouldn't be as angry with it.
Just be happy this wasn't when episodes were weekly. Okay. Because imagine how pissed you would be.
Jeez.
If it was like, okay, we've waited all week to see this.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Thank goodness Netflix does it all at once, so you don't have to deal with that shit. But I will say too, it also makes it would make it kind of interesting to see 11 show up in the style that she did, with this like goth look or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it would make you be like, whoa, what happened there, and everything, and make you wonder. And then that wonder, it builds in you. You're wondering like, well, how did she get to this point? Why is she, why does she look that way? Why does all this happen? And then you explain the backstory. I think that would have worked much, much better. But I still think it was a tender moment to see have Mike finally see 11 alive, and all of his kind of worries go away in that moment. So,
and his emotional breakdown with Hopper.
Oh yeah, his emotional
great scene.
His emotional breakdown with Hopper. Technically, I think that's the next episode, but
yes, episode 9.
Yeah, episode 9, because like episode 8 is when she opens the door, and then she's standing there, and everyone's looking at her, and then it goes to black, and then as soon as the next episode starts, that's Mike's breakdown that he has, and on Hopper. It's really emotional and sad, and you can understand the pain he's feeling.
Yes, and there is one moment in it that comes right after that does make me laugh.
What?
We see 11 not liking Max.
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking, give it a season, 11. Trust me, give it a season.
Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely have to
Like, because I know how close friends they become. So it's so funny to see that rivalry.
Yeah, no, that is really funny. Are you ready to move on to episode 9?
Mm-hmm.
So episode 9, titled "The Gate," and man, just looking at how this episode is an hour and 2 minutes. Geez, that's like when you look at like compared to just the finales of both season 3 and season 4, it's like, God, that's totally like nothing now.
And and for another stupid Ted moment that bothers me, when Billy is looking for his sister, because we see his home, we see his father being abusive to him, we see his
Yeah,
abusive household and all of that stuff. His father is like sleeping on the chair while he's just there having that conversation, and I'm like, another reason why Ted is literally pointless.
yeah, that's true. And I no, I agree too. Though that's like you do really you still don't like Billy because Billy is like psychotic and he's
Mhm.
a dangerous person, but you understand where Billy is coming from because you see the abuse he has to endure, and I thought that was really interesting. And then you even get to see Billy, and oh, we forgot to talk about that prior, um, in one of the prior episodes where Billy and Steve they have a full on fight in this season, a hand to hand combat fight, and then they you know Steve gets his ass kicked, but they are able to sedate. Um,
But they have another fight in this episode, and Max is the one that kicks Billy's ass.
yeah, she's the one that gets
And
Billy's ass, which is really cool.
and then you also get a great chat with 11 and Hopper. And my issue with the chat is it's a great chat, but I'm like, shouldn't this chat have happened a while ago?
Yeah, you would think so,
Like
but I do,
that would have maybe have led to not to episode 4 not being as bad
yeah,
if they actually.
because it's like in this moment that I think he like talks to her about having a daughter, losing his daughter, all this stuff, and then um he has this sweet moment with her saying what he's saying. I thought it was like you can see definitely throughout the season kind of the regrets of the anger that he has because on the ham radio when he's like talking to her and trying to apologize to her and here he's apologizing to her and I thought it was a really kind of sweet moment and I love it how they end the conversation where he's like this this goth look or whatever kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, and then I love it. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
bitching. And he was like, sure.
Yes.
I was like,
And
I love that.
and I also have on here, this is the first episode that with Steve, we get to see him go into full babysitter mode, as I call it.
Babysitter, yeah.
Where it's like, no, we're staying here. We are staying fucking in this house, that thing, him being like really protective.
Yeah. And he's kind of like he is kind of like a babysitter over all the kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right then and there, because he's the oldest of them all, and he's kind of just like, going on this during them. I thought
Yes.
that's why it was so funny in a few episodes prior where Max is driving the car and he's like, whoa, whoa, what's going on? He's like,
Yes, and speaking about Max's driving, she doesn't drive good, but I'm watching her driving, and I'm like, you know what? I would have expected you to drive worse.
hey, that's how I would have that's how I started driving when I first started driving. I was like, hey, I relate, Max. But then you get to them in the tunnel.
No, the hospital first.
Oh, the hospital. Yeah, yeah.
And it feels like a Walking Dead
Yeah.
meets The Last of Us. That vibe of them running through that dark hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. I thought that was pretty neat. And then Hopper and Eleven are trying to go on their journey to go close the gate. So no more of those things can come through.
And meanwhile, Joyce and Nancy and Jonathan are basically in a place where the mind thing doesn't know where it is, and they're using heat to kind of scare it out.
Yeah,
Joyce
because
is really having to torture
Joyce
her own
remembers
son.
Joyce remembers how he was saying it likes it cold, and so Joyce was like, "Oh, it likes it cold, does it?" And so she decides to put on a bunch of heaters and try to burn it out of him. And then they were also, because earlier they were trying to do everything they could, where they were trying to play the "should I stay or should I go now," and they were trying to do all this other stuff earlier to try to get Will to talk and try to get the Will that's in there to talk to them. But Joyce's plan is this, and it turns out it works. Yeah.
Also, gotta love how these three plot points are so well done. Like they feel all connected yet different at the same time. You're not getting bored of either one. They know how long to focus on one and then shift to the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that too. Um, and then then you get Steve Harrington with all the kids. They're in like the tunnel where all
And
the
then
signs are at, and he does this badass thing where he burns everyone, all of them alive, and then but except of course Dustin saves D'Artagnan, gives him a bite of his nougat bar, and gets him out of there. But
I
he did burn all the tunnels. Yeah.
I loved how Dart, it's clear that he knew who Dustin was and didn't want to hurt Dustin.
Yeah, I love that. Like they have a connection throughout the whole season, but like any other time anyone else is around Dart would just start attacking or be in defense mode.
And 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 then if we're seeing all of the plot points get resolved, Mind Flayer is good, everything is all good. The police are showing up to arrest the people of the facility, and Murray is just clapping and having fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Barb's funeral, and then we get the snowball.
the snowball. Oh, the snowball! That is so delightful. Maybe my favorite moment of this season for me is the snowball. I think it's because I just love Dustin as a character and seeing him show up in his great hairdo, his like mullet fro, whatever it is that he's got going on. And I just think he's so just gnarly, and those girls are such idiots because I've been in those shoes before, where it's just like I try to ask a girl to dance and they're just like, ugh. And it's so I related completely to him in that moment, and I thought it was such a precious moment where you see him and Nancy dancing, because Nancy took a risk doing that because she knows by dancing with him that like now she's open to being made fun of by people because of that, and she doesn't care. She still decides to go dance with him, and she's like saying, out of all my brother's friends, you're my favorite. I thought that was sweet, seeing him smile. And yeah,
I agree with that. He is the best in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree too. But at least out of all of the friends and everything, out all the Friends characters. And again, some banger songs used in this episode. You get time after time. If you love as you look, and you will find me, which is a great song. And then, of course, the stalker song, as I like to call it, that every move you make, every breath you take, because it's like he's basically stalking the person. So, yeah, it's some great songs in this episode. And then, of course, you get Max and Lucas at the snowball. They share a kiss together, which is really sweet. And then
and somebody dances with Will Zombie Boy. And I'm like, you can call Will by his name.
I know. That part to me was like, I was like, really? Did you have to call him Zombie Boy? I was like, come on. I don't know. I think that was like, you're getting to dance and everything, but at the same time, it's still kind of like inappropriate to call him Zombie Boy in that moment.
And Hopper and Max and 11 and Mike. That was so sweet.
That was so sweet. And then also, I really loved that Paul Reiser's character actually wrote Hopper as like one of those official Guardian forms to actually now he is legally binding in writing her parent now, which is nice. That now he can officially say he has an adopted daughter, not just hey, I'm taking her under my wing. She's like an adopted figure of mine. No, now she literally is his adopted daughter in writing, which I really love. So
yes, and now
Joyce and him are just outside the dance while everyone else is just chilling in the dance, or just outside the dance chilling, just reminiscing and over everything that happened, smoking cigarettes, and thought that was.
Then of course we get that ending of, ooh, maybe the Upside Down isn't done.
Yeah, see, and this is how you do a season finale, Alien Earth, because something like this where it won't just drop you on your head and you're just like, that's it. This, they wrap up all the stuff they need to, but then they leave just enough open with that final shot where you're like, oh, okay, so we're not done here. There's that the Mind Flayer is going to come back, and there's going to be more stuff involving it soon. And sure enough, there is once we get to season 3. So,
so yeah. Now we get to the side quest episode.
God, yeah, we'll talk about the side quest episode of season 2. That is what I like to call the New Mutants, or the X-Men episode. It's titled The Lost Sister, and this episode to me, it just feels pointless because it doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't even add anything to the plot. Like it's one of those ones where if you watched episode 6 and then you watched episode 8, you would not be lost at all, except for seeing the goth look that 11 gets, and you just be like, oh, okay, well, she looks different now,
And that shot of her memory of her using her powers.
Yeah, that would be the shot, the memory of her using her powers. That's literally the only thing that episode 9 connects into with this episode. So,
and you would not get the very iconic moment of one moment in this show on this episode that legit is probably one of the most funny set of context moments I've seen in a TV show in a very long time.
Which moment's that?
Old MacDonald had a farm.
Oh my god.
When they started singing Old MacDonald, I'm like, well, why are they singing Old MacDonald?
Yeah. See, that doesn't even feel like something kids those age would do. It's just like, it didn't even feel natural or true to how they act. And the only thing I liked about this episode was when she confronts that doctor guy, the dude who's like bald or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She confronts him and decides to have mercy on him. I thought that was a really kind of moment there, and a moment of character growth for Eleven. But everything else,
I found this episode like I understand what they were doing,
yeah,
but they could have done it better.
They could have done it better. And then also when you look at the rest of the show, like I would have been fine if they did this and they did it better. Maybe placed it in between a different section, like we talked about. Maybe even have it earlier, like around even towards the beginning of the season. You do something like that. That would have been fine for me. But then, but it's just, yeah, placing it where you did. And then the fact that they never even bring it up again, really, it just becomes kind of a mute subject.
I'm hoping that in season 5.
I'm hoping, because let me just tell you, if season 5 doesn't at all bring up anything about these people or this episode, then this will then be maybe the worst filler episode in the history of television, because then it's literally just utterly pointless. Like when you go back and rewatch the whole show, you'll just be like, there's absolutely 0 point to this episode.
And unlike a sitcom, they cannot get away with it. Like you can watch a show like Friends or How I Met Your Mother, and
just have filler episodes all the time. Yeah, stuff like that.
But they're a comedy. They're supposed to be silly and fun, and that's the point of them. It's not supposed to be about the epic story.
Yeah, this one, it's like, it just feels completely like it doesn't even add anything, doesn't even set up anything if they just don't even talk about it later. Like Alien Earth, for example, I was not a fan of at all, but they had a sort of a filler episode that was a really good episode because it talks about, you were introduced to the crew of that ship or whatever, and they're like, okay, well, let's go backwards and then tell you what happened to that crew. Why were they at this point? Why did this happen? And they found a way to naturally fit it in there, and I thought that was good. The Fly, I'm a defender of that because they found a way to naturally fit it in there. Here, they find a way to not even naturally fit it in, and then also if they just never bring it up again, yeah, it's going to feel like it's terrible. There was this show on Fox for a while. I kind of dug it. I only watched the first season though, but it was called The Gifted, and it was an X-Men kind of like a young X-Men, they're like teenagers or whatever, in this show, and it was in like the X-Men universe, and it was coming out around the same time the show came out, and I remember comparing it to The Gifted and saying, this feels like an episode of The Gifted. This doesn't even feel like Stranger Things. And I kind of still stand by that. I feel like that's the issue too, because Stranger Things has such a style to it, has such a vibe to it, and this just feels like a different show entirely. So the tone is all off. Yeah.
If you know what this would be like for me?
What?
It would be like, if you know how excited I am for Wicked for Good.
Yeah.
Imagine if I go into this movie and I'm like excited about it, and then I found out, oh hey, the actual movie Wicked for Good is coming in a few months. This is about Galinda's friends. I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
And it's gonna have hardly anything to do with the plot.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what? No, I don't want to see this. I want to see the story continue.
Yeah. And so yeah, they really messed up on it, and I feel like if you're gonna set something like this up, then what you should do maybe make this show 6 seasons. That way you can like have whatever other stuff you wanted to implement in season 2 and then put that in like another season, but like make season 2 be all about these characters and then be about you can still have Will, you can still have all of them doing their stuff, but like have how like they go from storyline to storyline to storyline and all that stuff and how they'll keep on doing that. Have a storyline build and grow throughout the season because we literally only see them in the first episode and then you get to see them in episode 7 again. I feel like what you should have done, had them in the first episode and then had a little maybe right towards the end of episode 2 or something, you have a quick scene with them. And then maybe the beginning of episode 3, you have a scene with them. Stuff like that, where it's sprinkled throughout the series. And then that way, whenever you get to that moment, it won't just feel out of the blue,
Yes, completely.
Yeah.
So that was my thoughts on. So that was our thoughts on season 2, right?
Yeah, that's our thoughts on season 2, guys. Wrapping up on Stranger Things 2. What did you guys think of Stranger Things 2? I know I liked this season a lot more on this rewatch. I thought
I did too.
I thought it really held up a lot more than what I initially thought of it when I watched it. This is not my favorite season, but it's definitely up there now for me because I thought this did some interesting stuff with the characters. If you just took out episode 7, it would be a near perfect season in my opinion. But yeah,
I loved it. I loved it too. Even in the episodes that weren't as good, I still saw moments I was like, "Oh, that's great," or "That's great."
Oh yeah, and the Halloween nut in me went crazy for all the, Halloween references and all the Halloween stuff in there. So I love seeing all that, and we will be back, guys, in a couple weeks to discuss season 3 with you guys. And the plan is to keep with the Sunday schedules, at least for that season, guys, because I wasn't able to do the Sunday schedule because I was at a film festival, as y'all know. I keep on posting those film festival reviews for y'all. I was at a film festival, and so I'm still gonna get those out for y'all, but I wasn't able to film it on that Sunday, so we postponed it to today. And it was perfect timing because the season 5 trailer just dropped today too.
And in season 4, we won't be doing that on a Sunday.
Yeah, season 4 we're also gonna have to kind of work it
because we're gonna have another video to film on that day.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing our Wicked spoiler discussion that Sunday. So we'll probably do our season 4 one that Monday for you guys, or either that Monday or that Tuesday, because I know Ari and Tristan like to do their new shows on Monday, so we might do that on that Monday or that Tuesday for you guys. So be on the lookout for all of our Stranger Things discussions. We're also gonna, like I mentioned, we're gonna do some season 5 predictions. Whether that'll be in our season 4 video, whether that'll be separate. We guys will let you know when we're closer to that moment. But really, really excited to continue this road to Stranger Things 5. And I'm excited to take this journey with my other Stranger Things fanatic buddy, Andrew. So we will see you all in the next one, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. Got a bunch of great stuff coming for you guys. October's ending, but the videos won't stop. You're still going to get Stranger Things stuff. You're still going to get a ton of festival reviews I still have to film and get out there for you guys. And then, of course, Awards Roundtable is coming back. So you guys will be getting some Awards Roundtable content here soon, talking about the Gotham Awards that just happened and a few other movie award type of stuff. So, yeah, that'll do it, guys. Let us know what you guys think of this down below. Like, subscribe, share, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of the series that we're doing or any other videos. We will see you all in the next one. Until then, stay classy, my friends, and keep on watching those TV shows.